Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Santa Clarita Hearing Center. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Gene Dorio.
on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And of course, speaking of quality of life, there's nothing better than be able to hear. And our guest this morning is one of our sponsors from the Santa Clarita Hearing Center, Dr. Ginny Velos. Good to see you again.
Hello.
Welcome,
It
Jenny.
seems like it was just yesterday.
I know. Time flies.
Oh my goodness, it's going too fast.
It's going to be the end of the year soon.
Oh, good heavens. Oh. How are you doing, Dr. Dorio?
I'm doing great. I
Good.
have a bunch of meetings
How-
today, and
How's Robin?
she's doing just fine.
Good. And the senior
Enjoying
center?
Yeah, there's a lot of activities, as we know, going on at the senior center now. So we've been happy about that, but a lot of our seniors who are listening can't hear us, and that's a big problem, because it affects one's quality of life.
Absolutely
So,
does.
So now tomorrow we celebrate Veterans Day, and we honor those who have served our country and put on a uniform, taken up arms to protect us. Mm-hmm. But when they come back from service, sometimes they develop hearing problems right away. Sometimes they develop hearing problems down the line. Mm-hmm. So with Jenny Velos, Dr. Jenny Velos on the show today, one of the things we should talk about is not just hearing loss in our veterans, but hearing loss for our seniors in general now and down the line, being able to maybe help those who could in the future develop it. So how do we do that? How do we create prevention in trying to help our veterans and those who are listening from developing a life-changing quality of life issue?
Well, I personally think that, being away from, loud, excessive noise. So I'm not talking about listening to music at a comfortable volume, not booming, like I can hear your car, I can hear it before I can see it. And protecting our ears when we know we're going to be in excessive noise. We're going to go to a concert, some earplugs would be great. Trust me, you can hear the music just fine, but you will be protecting yourself for later on. Doing some hearing screenings early to get a baseline. When I say early for seniors, I'm saying at age 50. Age 50 is when we start doing a hearing screening to get the baseline. Most often I see hearing normal or very close to normal, so it's not something that, people come in and they're going to need any kind of treatment. It's simply to have something on file that we can revert back to later and compare and see where you were versus where you are in the future. So I think that's always very, very helpful. And for veterans, I see a lot of veterans in my office, and something that I have learned. I always knew, I always assumed veterans would be exposed to excessive noise with artillery and grenades and weapons and all of that. What I've learned by working with veterans is it's not just the noise, but it's things like burn pits and fumes and diseases in other countries that we're not used to here, that we become exposed to. It's not just noise. It's more than that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so that's something that I always look for when I'm seeing my veterans. I'm always looking for environmental exposure kind of things as well.
Very interesting. I didn't realize that possibility of some types of fumes could cause hearing loss. But I guess fumes, they have they have a substance to them,
And they can
don't they? And
affect,
they can adhere to the insides of the ear.
well, they can affect other parts of your body that can affect your ears. We know that ears need oxygen,
Right.
just like every other organ in our body, and the oxygen is supplied by blood flow, right? So if there's any kind of heart conditions that can affect the blood flow to the body, it can affect hearing.
What about breathing fumes? Can that also
If
contribute?
if breathing fumes can bring in any kind of um, toxic
Toxicity.
to other parts of our
Right.
body, then it can affect other things. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So we want to look for that as well. So yeah,
Very interesting.
I I I really, what I'm seeing a lot of lately is we know about, I say it every single time, the hearing screenings at 50. And I really, please, if you're listening to this, talk to your doctors about it. I think that we need to get the doctors on board because I don't see enough physicians. They're fantastic. They refer for, your mammograms and your colonoscopies, and, they encourage your dental exams and your eye exams to keep your body healthy. But in most cases, we don't talk about a hearing exam. And when
No.
we have hearing loss, we think it only affects us, and well, I'll just pay attention more and I'll turn the TV up louder, and but it's so much more than just affecting me. It's affecting everybody around me. It's affecting my coworkers. It's affecting my family, my spouse. It's frustrating. It can be hurtful, um, and it's exhausting. It's
Hmm.
exhausting to have hearing loss. And when we can't hear, we start to isolate because it's easier.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to that restaurant with y'all this week because I just really struggle in there. It's too loud, so I'll catch you next week. Or I'm not going to go to the book club or Bible study because when we're sitting around talking, I just can't hear the people at the table, and it's frustrating, and I'm just not going to go anymore. And as we start to isolate, here comes some depression, which is understandable. And as we start to strain our body with depression and stress, here comes, any other illness that you may have being accentuated.
Hmm.
High blood pressure, depression gets worse. It's just such like it's a snowball effect.
And
And
it's not, the doctors are not the ones who really discern how their loved one is doing, their patient is doing. The caregivers, the spouses, like you said, Jenny, they're the ones who recognize there's a hearing loss, and
correct.
that all comes from the people around us to say there's a problem, and that recognition. And so to get individuals to a to you to screen for hearing problems is mandatory. It's not going to come from your doctor. Sometimes you're only there for 10 minutes, and that's it. So, you want to be able to advise your loved ones, hey, there's a problem. Your TV's too loud. You didn't hear that siren? So please just make sure one sets up themselves or their loved ones for a hearing exam. So my question is, what happens when you have an appointment? What happens? How do you evaluate when they walk in the door? You don't just say hi, and they say don't say hi back. Oh, you have a hearing problem. You mechanically do things to evaluate
I do.
how their hearing is.
I do, and it's a harmless exam. It's doesn't take very long. When you come into my office, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about what you're experiencing. And I really encourage a third party, a family member. And when I say family member, that can mean blood relative, caregiver, friend, neighbor, somebody that you spend time with, to be there with you. Um, so I'm going to talk to you about your experiences and what you're noticing and what people are saying to you. And I'm going to encourage that family member to also share um, what they're noticing, because if you've never discussed it before, it might be a surprise that your spouse is saying, I have to tell him 3 times before he answers. And that might be a surprise to some people. I'm going to look in your ears with my otoscope, and I'm going to look for wax. Do you have wax that's causing a hearing loss, that it's making it more difficult? And if so, I'm going to remove the wax for you right then and there before we do any kind of testing. I'm going to put headphones on your ears, and I'm going to ask you to listen to little beeping sounds and press a button when you hear them. And that's going to give me an idea of what your hearing levels are. I'm going to possibly check for fluid behind your ears, or the integrity of your eardrum if there's any concern of that. And that's just a quick kind of put a little tip in your ear, and you feel a little pressure change for a moment, and nothing hurts. And then we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about everything that I found, all of the testing results, and we're going to fit it into what you told me in the beginning. And I'm going to explain to you why you're experiencing the issues that you're having. And if you're not having any issues at all, great. Then I'm going to do the test, and I'm going to say, this is a great baseline. Your hearing is normal, and I'd like to have you come back in, you know, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, five, it just depends on who you are and what your lifestyle is and what your age is.
You know what's very interesting? We were talking about veterans a few minutes ago, and the extreme possibility for hearing loss, especially if they've been in combat.
Of course.
And it's interesting because both of my parents suffered hearing loss. And a lot of it was due to the fact my father was in the Royal Navy. He was overseas, experienced a lot of, bombs and what have you. And the same thing in England when I lived there, because the sirens would sound. And I mean these screeching sirens, and they were so loud. I would have to constantly put my hands over my ears. And then when we would have the bombs dropping around us, that was an incredible loud noise, incredibly loud. And both of my parents did suffer a hearing loss. It wasn't that bad, but I'm amazed that I didn't.
Well,
Now, could that be due to my age, at such a young age, that it doesn't affect a child's ears as much?
no, because it would affect a child's ears as much as it would affect an adult's ears. Um, and I don't know, I haven't seen what your hearing test looks like. So, I mean, you've had a recent hearing test.
Yes.
And it's
I have excellent hearing.
excellent hearing.
Yes.
So, don't know. It might
That's
have been that
amazing.
it's in, just short time periods. If those, I don't know what the siren sounded like at the time.
Well, like the siren that sounds when it goes off here every once in a while, only much, much louder.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Much,
don't
much
know.
louder.
I do know that hearing is, somewhat genetic, in the sense that we've talked before about inside the cochlea, that snail-shaped bone, we have thousands of tiny, tiny little microscopic hair cells that stand up and they move and they sway. And I kind of think about the reeds in the ocean when the tides change and they sway. So they sway in fluid depending on sounds that are coming into your ear. So bass tone sounds that are coming into your ear, they sway a certain area of that cochlea. And if they hear sharp sounds, very high pitched sounds, it's making the hair sway in a different area of the ear. And I think that how resilient those little hairs are and how much dancing and moving they can handle over a lifetime is dependent on the genetics of your parents. And so you're getting half from mom and you're getting half from dad. So you might have gotten a strong genetic component from both, and which makes your little hairs dance a lot longer than some people.
Interesting.
And we know Barbara's always dancing.
There you go.
Why
Point
not?
made.
Why not? You only live once, right? Why not enjoy it?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I have this mental picture of these tiny little things moving back and forth inside my ear, and I'm thinking, wow, that's incredible.
And that is how you're
Incredible.
hearing is those little hairs swaying. And so also, you have, a certain amount of those little hairs on each. Think of if you took that snail and you rolled it out flat. It's like a piano keyboard. It's what we call tonotopic. So at one end, at the opening of the snail shell, that's where the very high pitches and our little hairs are dancing. And if you follow in closer and closer and closer to the very center, you're getting lower pitch, lower pitch, lower pitch. And that's where those little hairs are dancing. And so how many of those little hairs do you have? People that I find, let's say in the military, who are in the military when they're 20, 25 years old, they're exposed to noise. The little hairs are dying out, right? They've been exposed, but they still have some left.
Right.
But I have more than they do because I haven't exposed my ears to that kind of noise.
That's right.
And so now jump ahead 30 years, they have fewer little hairs dancing than I do, and those little hairs, they can only handle so much, and they're going to start to die out, and they're going to start experiencing difficulty with their hearing before I will.
That's interesting. I wonder why that didn't happen to me.
Well, like I said,
Genetics.
I'm beta genetics. You might have gotten very strong genetic components from your parents. And I have some people with parents completely normal hearing, but here they are 30 years old with a significant hearing loss. And they go, but my parents have fine hearing. But maybe you got the weak part from each parent.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue
How
this
lucky, how
interesting
lucky.
conversation. We need to take a break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS.
Youth workshops return to the Canyon Theater Guild. Join us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting September 7th, for 10 weeks of teamwork and fun while creating theater magic. Our day class from 12:30 to 3:30 will create the fun, pixelated world of video games with Press Start, while our after-school class from 4 to 6 embarks on a swashbuckling adventure with space pirates. Class size is limited, so register today at 661-799-2702 or visit canyontheater.org.
Sciatica flaring up again? Even after therapy, decompression, or surgery, discover the 3 most common mistakes that must change to get rid of sciatica for good. Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Pilecki, and WebMD chooses me as best chiropractor and functional medicine in Santa Clarita. Something to think about. So, when you're ready to get better, go to drpilecki.com. That's drpollucki.com to schedule your free consultation now.
Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple.
If you're in need of physical therapy, check out Focus Physical Therapy. Owner and therapist Adam Laraway has the latest in cutting-edge technology, introducing the Newbie, the ultimate in neuromuscular re-education. The Newbie can help you heal up to 70% faster and was FDA cleared in September 2017. The Newbie uses pulse direct current, which mimics the same neurological signals the brain uses and allows the therapist to identify those signals with 100% accuracy. Newbie can even help improve your sleep while tackling issues with neck, knee, and shoulder pain, sciatica, and arthritis. It can accelerate your fitness progress, which means better results in less sessions. Get stronger quicker. Why not use the same technology that the Dodgers and the LA Clippers use? Focus PT, located on Peachland off Lyons in Newhall. Call 255-4205. Go online at focusphysicaltherapyscv.com.
It's time to experience a pain relief, wellness, and anti-aging treatment unlike any other. It's time to check out Mend Cryotherapy. Relieve chronic joint and muscle pain, diminish soreness and inflammation, alleviate stress-related symptoms, boost immune system performance, and improve sleep and recovery times. Mend Cryotherapy is open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go to Mend, M-E-N-D, cryotherapy.com on Newhall Ranch Road in the Gateway Shopping Center.
Santa Clarita now has its first respiratory treatment center, RenewMed. Whether you've got COPD, COVID complications, asthma, or emphysema, you no longer have to drive out of our valley for treatment. RenewMed is a comprehensive outpatient rehab facility. Along with respiratory treatment, RenewMed's multidisciplinary team includes physicians, respiratory, physical, occupational therapists, and social service professionals. Experience a new kind of therapy. RenewMed on Lyons Avenue, just north of the 5. Visit renewmedscv.com. That's renewmedscv.com.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with one of our sponsors from Santa Clarita Hearing Center, and that is Dr. Jenny Veloz. And let's continue talking about these little hairs in the ears.
Yes, they're amazing
That
little
dance.
things.
Yeah, they dance.
They dance. They do. It really is.
No, mine dance.
Oh, yours?
Mine dance. They're different.
Dance.
Okay, they dance.
They dance.
They dance.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you what they do, though. No.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You can actually view video. They have video of it online that you can actually see the hairs dancing.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It
It's
really,
amazing.
it really gives you a visual and helps you understand a little bit more about your hearing process when you see that.
Yeah.
I would imagine, because I would think that if there's a loud noise, those little hairs are just jumping around all over the place.
Absolutely.
And
That's
when
what we
there's-
hope.
Yes, and when there's
That's what we
less
hope.
noise, they're more like waving.
Yes. Yes.
But you notice that the videos show how delicate
So,
those hairs are
so
and
delicate.
how easily disrupted
Yes.
they can become. And so it says to us, be careful,
So
when you are
careful.
exposed to loud noises, because that could affect those little hairs. And it's just very delicate and fine-tuned.
And we don't know how to fix them.
Yeah.
If we knew how to fix them, we'd have a cure to hearing loss, which would be amazing. I would
Wouldn't
love
that
that.
be?
But we don't now. And when those little hairs, they're no longer working, there's a little bit of confusion that happens because the sound comes in and the hairs are supposed to move. They're supposed to dance or dance, and they're not. and it can send a confused signal to the brain, and it can make a sound that's not there. And that's what we call tinnitus or tinnitus. And that's when we hear,
Interesting.
we're hearing ringing in our ears and nobody else can hear it but us. And it's generally thought to be because the hairs are sup- supposed to be moving, but they're not. And they're kind of sending a phantom signal to the brain, and the brain is hearing a noise that's not there.
That's interesting because occasionally I will experience a ringing in my ears. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what's going on? You know? And then it'll stop. What causes that?
I do not know.
Could be your doorbell.
No, no, my doorbell is not a ringing doorbell. It's a ding dong, ding dong.
It's
Well,
a
that sounds like a ring.
No.
it's something that happens to most everybody. I have that happen as well. It comes on and it's there for a few seconds and it goes away. And I don't know the answer. I don't know what that is. I do know that after I've not me, but after you've been to a very loud, like a concert or a shooting range, and we come out of there and we go to bed at night and we feel like we have cotton in our ears and we can hear the ringing in our ears, and those little hairs are just like they've been overworked and they're just kind of going nuts. And then in the morning, guess what? Our hearing is back to normal.
to
The
normal.
ringing is usually gone, but there's been damage done. There's been
Interesting.
damage done. Yes.
And, we
Wow.
talked about the genetics part, but, as we get older, there, and we have a balancing act that we have to get through in life, and sometimes that requires medication. Chemotherapeutic medication, antibiotics, they can contribute to hearing problems as well. And when one goes to visit the hospital and they come out, all of a sudden the family members might say, "Hey, what's wrong with your hearing?" So you really have to be aware of contributors other than just, lack of dancing hairs and genetics and things like that. There are just things that, in our environment that we have to save us and get us back to normal, but they can contribute to pretty vast and difficult quality of life issues with our hearing.
Well, when I was going through chemo, I would quite frequently have that ringing in my ears. And it was amazing. And even a few months after I got through with the chemo, it was still there, but then it completely disappeared. So I guess that was a contributing factor.
Yes.
Interesting.
Very common. Very common. My dad had hearing loss that was partially due to his chemotherapy called cisplatin, which is a very well-known ototoxic chemotherapy. It can affect the volume. You can lose the volume of sound. You can lose the understanding of words, which he also had. And it can also affect your balance system, and it can leave people dizzy permanently. So I know that oncologists are they try not to use cisplatin. However, if you're it's a life-saving thing. But I think a lot of them are using carboplatin instead now. But yeah, these medications, we know of what's his name? Completely escaping me now. With the cochlear implant he ended up getting, the radio, Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, yes.
Rush Limbaugh lost his hearing suddenly from OxyContin use. So there you go. And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of documentation coming out now with COVID. COVID does affect hearing. I see a lot of people with sudden hearing loss, and they have had COVID. So that is another thing that COVID is affecting.
Does it? How about through the vaccine? Do you know? I don't know of any cases myself where hearing was affected, but maybe you have.
No, I haven't. It's people who are experiencing COVID organically, not from the vaccine, that we're
Yeah.
seeing sudden hearing loss, typically unilateral, which is weird, but that's what I have been seeing.
No.
Interesting. Interesting.
You know, yeah, I worry that we know, and since I have COVID patients, have had patients pass away from COVID. I know some of the long-term effects that they have had, and it's sad because I do think that when you do get it organically and you're exposed to the disease and you get that disease, the long haulers or the long manifestations are more profound. And the last study I read, not just a few weeks ago, said that 1/3 of those who got COVID experience ongoing problems. 1/3, that's a lot.
That's
And
a lot.
that does coincide about with my patients as well, which is sad. So, we're not promoting vaccinations or anti-vax, but there are advantages that we're seeing statistically to having the vaccine.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what causes that.
Don't know. It's messing with it's the dancing hairs. That's all. And we just there's so many. We think we know everything about medicine, and we just don't. We're not even close. And there's lots of studies that go on that on brain studies and the circuits. I can pretty safely say that most of the problems that we face with mental illness, with dementia, with problems related to psychoses and things like that, they're all a problem with the circuits that we don't know about. So, and hearing is a part of that, and the dancing hairs and everything else. We think we know a lot, and we don't. So that's the sad part of what we all have to deal with. Medicine is not perfect, not yet, and probably won't be for a few hundred years.
If that. Because
If
I feel
that.
like the more we know, the more we understand that we don't know, the more we don't know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, and remember, that when we're talking about those dancing hairs are sending a signal. They're sending an electrical signal to the brain. So the dancing hairs is not the end of the line, right?
Right.
So now we're dealing with the dancing hairs that aren't working, and the signal that they're sending to the brain. And the brain is where all of that's where the majority of the magic is happening, right? It's the interpretation of
Mhm.
the sound. Is the sound we're hearing music? Is it speech? Is it a siren? Right? We have to, hear these sounds, and our brain interprets it and gives us a warning or emotion, or so it's like Dr. Dorio said, it's a very complicated circuit. It amazes me how when I think about the process of hearing, the sound is a wave coming through the air, and it goes through our ear canal, and it makes our eardrum bounce back and forth. And when that eardrum bounces back and forth, there's 3 tiny little bones behind the eardrum that start to move, kind of like when you walk and you have the 3, your femur, right, and you have your shin down here and your foot, and they move together in a motion, and that has to work properly. And at the other end of that 3-bone process, there's another, almost like a second eardrum. Now that has to move, right? And it has to work properly. And when that moves, there's fluid behind it, and that's what starts the tides shifting and the hairs dancing. That has to work properly, and then the hairs are connected to a membrane that has to work properly to transmit the sound to the brain, and then the brain has to work properly, and it has to interpret properly. I mean, it's such a magical, amazing process. I'm in awe of it every day.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I sit outside in the morning and take my bagel, my coffee, and sit outside with my kitty cat, Ginger. And it's amazing. I'll hear these sirens off in the distance, and I'm thinking, gee, is that an ambulance or is that a police car, a patrol car, you know? And then my neighbor will be up raking her yard, and I can hear the rake pulling the leaves, and I sometimes think to myself, this is amazing. It's amazing.
If you close your eyes, no matter where you are, if you close your eyes and just use your ears and just be in the moment and listen, you are going to hear so many amazing sounds that you don't even realize are happening around
I know.
you.
I do that when I sit outside in the morning.
It's so
And there's so many more sounds
yes.
that seem to, whoops, wait a minute. My
What's
eyes
that?
are closed. It's like I'm seeing them, you know.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
It helps you hear by taking away, you know what they say, you lose one sense, another heightens.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you take away the vision and you just sit and listen, it starts other areas of the brain working
Absolutely.
and heightening
Yes.
to listen and hear more things.
It absolutely does. Isn't life amazing?
It really is. It's quite magical
It's just
and amazing.
Absolutely amazing. And everybody should be thankful they're alive, you know? And on that note, we need to take a break, don't we? I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com, located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
If you're in need of physical therapy, check out Focus Physical Therapy. Owner and therapist Adam Laraway has the latest in cutting-edge technology, introducing the Newbie, the ultimate in neuromuscular re-education. The Newbie can help you heal up to 70% faster and was FDA cleared in September 2017. The Newbie uses pulse direct current, which mimics the same neurological signals the brain uses and allows the therapist to identify those signals with 100% accuracy. Newbie can even help improve your sleep while tackling issues with neck, knee, and shoulder pain, sciatica, and arthritis. It can accelerate your fitness progress, which means better results in less sessions. Get stronger quicker. Why not use the same technology that the Dodgers and the LA Clippers use? Focus PT, located on Peachland off Lyons in Newhall. Call 255-4205. Go online at focusphysicaltherapyscv.com.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
I'm Susan Owen, managing partner at OPO Law. I represented a 6-year-old girl who was tragically hit by a car in front of her home. The driver offered nothing. I took it to trial, and the jury awarded her $25 million. Choose OPO Law to fight for you the way we fight for all of our clients. If you've been injured, call 888-OPO-WINS for a free consultation.
OPO Law, the law firm insurance companies fear most.
I'm Susan Owen, and I would be honored to handle your case.
Get your free thermostats from Pacific Air free.
Ned, what are you doing? You can't offer that.
Yes, I can. With every AC tune-up this month, Pacific Air will replace your mechanical thermostat with a digital one. Free!
Get in the truck, Ned.
Ned's right.
It's true.
Mark Schneider and daughter Kaylee for Pacific Air.
This month, call Pacific Air to schedule your WOW heating tune-ups.
And we'll replace your old mechanical thermostat
with a brand new digital thermostat, absolutely free of charge.
And if you need a new heating and air system, but money is tight, call today and ask about our buy now, pay later financing. We think you'll say,
wow! Call the guys in the orange truck. That's Pacific Air. On time, great care. When you want the best, call Pacific Air.
Get your WOW heating tune-up today, and we'll replace your old mechanical thermostat with a new digital thermostat free. Get service at packair.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Ginny Velos, who's the owner of one of our sponsors, Santa Clarita Hearing Center. And we're talking about these little fibers in the ears, dancing back and forth, and how they react when
and we were
noise,
talking about the
different
bones.
noise. Sorry, what did you say?
No, I was just going to mention we talked about the bones also, and during the break, we were mentioning the technology that those bones are not as malleable, and they've even been able to replace a bone to get people's hearing back and better.
Yeah.
So to me, the science is still working on hearing problems, but it's one step at a time getting better.
And again, because we know that, like you said, we have surgical options, we have medication options to help hearing loss, such as fluid in the ear or ear infection. This is the importance of seeing a hearing doctor to have your hearing tested and diagnosed, because hearing doctors are trained to look for these things and can refer you to the proper place instead of just telling you need a hearing aid.
Yeah. And, isn't there, there's the bill in Congress, and they were talking about Medicare and maybe having dental work and things like that done. But hearing was a part of it, and I honestly think that people do not go to have their ears hearing evaluated because they're afraid of cost. And, there is a thought that we should it's a quality of life issue.
Absolutely.
If you can't hear the radio, can't watch TV, can't hear a siren, it affects, your ability to get out into the public or be aware of what's going on. So, as older adults, we have to argue and fight for the right to be able to get good medical care for our hearing, and that's what you provide. So, for our listeners, we've had this conversation, but I think it's important they know how to get a hold of you, Jenny, and make contact in case they can't hear the siren or their TV is loud, or they have a loved one that is facing those same things. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, my office is on the campus of Henry Mayo Hospital in the building D, like David, and I'm in room 14. My phone number is 661-388-4135, or my website is santaclaritahearingcenter.com. And any of those that will, you can reach me, send me a message, call me, leave me a message if I'm with a patient, and I'll call you back and we can talk about how we can help you. And I just want to add that Medicare does cover the hearing test.
Yes.
So that there's no reason for our seniors to be concerned with the cost of a hearing test. Medicare does cover that.
But they doesn't cover anything else regarding hearing loss.
No, however,
which is amazing to me.
A lot of Medicare supplemental and Advantage plans do have a wonderful discount program.
Yes.
If there is a financial concern, I'm always willing to help financially. We will figure it out. I have some great little tricks up my sleeve that I can get hearing aids on anybody's ears.
Be quiet.
Great.
Don't give your secrets
I
away.
won't. I have them. They're in my pocket. But
Good.
I will get you hearing better. I promise I will get you hearing better. And we will talk about financial concern because everybody has financial concern.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think it's great, Jenny, that you're trying to get those dancing hairs back into step.
Yes.
For people. And, once again, it's a quality of life issue. And you really suffer when you cannot hear. So once again, your phone number is 661-388-4135. That's 661-388-4135. Jenny, it's always great having you on the show because you give so much super information and educate our listeners. And I'm just so thankful that you're in our community and helping many of the senior, especially the seniors, and of course our veterans in getting through life. Thank you so much, Jenny, for being on the show today. We are sponsored by Santa Clarita Hearing Center, Dr. Jenny Vilos, and Comfort Keepers in Home Care. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. How go and enhance your quality of life.